Few historians mention the vital role that American glider pilots played in World War II. Their mission? To fly American CG-4A and British Horsa gliders and deliver troops, weapons, and supplies behind enemy lines, many times in the dead of night. On silent wings, they crash-landed into small fields, often flooded, mined, or planted with large poles by German troops. Enemy fire greeted them on the ground, and their casualties were high. Other aviators referred to them as suicide pilots, and many said that the G on their glider wings stood for guts. America and Britain weren't the only ones to use transport gliders in World War II. Germany was the first to demonstrate the glider's wartime capability when its troops invaded Belgium in April 1940. The following year, it utilized gliders in its invasion of Crete. American military leaders, finally realizing the potential of glider transportation, began preparations for our own glider force. Several training schools opened, and by September 1942, more than 24 training facilities were located throughout the U.S. Looking back, both glider pilots and their instructors admit that the short time utilized for training ill-prepared many of them for the conditions that they would discover in actual combat. The first large-scale airborne operation undertaken by the Allies was Sicily, and for many American glider pilots, this would be their first mission in combat. Mistakenly fired upon by the British, American tow planes and their gliders got off course and took a heavy toll. Of the 133 gliders released, only 12 made it to the landing zone. At least 65 came down in the sea. For glider pilots, Sicily was a disaster, but resulted in major training and equipment modifications. An intercom between the glider and its tow plane was introduced. Struts were added to the nose of the CG-4A for better pilot and co-pilot protection. Landing procedures were modified to decrease rate of descent into small confined fields. All of these changes would be tested at Normandy. Hours before the June 6, 1944 seaborne invasion, British and American transport aircraft left England to drop men and supplies in support of Allied ground troops. Drew Anderson was one of the glider pilots who participated in the invasion.
As a glider pilot, I was always a little apprehensive every time we had a mission. But we never looked on the glider as a flimsy or an unstable aircraft, because it wasn't a very pretty bird, but it was a good flying bird. And all we did to try to do was just reassure the personnel that we were carrying that everything was going to be all right. And our job was to bring the rest of the division and the heavy equipment in for the paratroopers, which had already gone before us. We rendezvoused with the whole group and then headed out over the channel for Normandy. When we started getting close to the beach, the flak started coming up around us, and we got bounced around a lot. We didn't get hit. That's when we suddenly realized this wasn't a training mission anymore. This was the real thing. Then the tow plane gave us a signal to cut, and we were as anxious as he was to get out of there. As we got closer to the field, we could see that the trees were approximately 100 feet high. So we hit the flaps and just sort of pancaked in. We had no orders as to how we were to get back. We were just told to stay with the airborne until we were relieved. And I think we were there about 3 days. We were the only pilots in the U.S. Air Corps that always had to walk back. And when we got on the ground, it was just up to us to find our way home.
Of the 1,030 glider pilots who dropped men, equipment, and supplies behind the beaches of Normandy, 180 were dead, injured, or missing. Many of the survivors would take part in other major operations of southern France, Germany, India, Burma, and the Philippines. And like the pilots who flew them, some of the glider aircraft saw more than one mission. By the war's end, the thousands of pilots who had survived hazardous landings, both in training and in combat, returned home. A few hundred remained on active duty at Pope Air Force Base, North Carolina, where the last American training exercise with gliders was held in April 1949.
I'm Al Jennings. I'm a World War II glider pilot and a member of the World War II Glider Pilots Association. From time to time, people ask us if we think that the glider pilots got credit for the role that they played during World War II. As far as we're concerned, individually and as a group, yes, we do think we got credit for it. But we don't think that the glider program as a whole got the proper recognition that it was entitled to. When you stop to think that there was over 6,000 pilots trained, there were 14,000 combat gliders built. We participated in 8 different major combat missions and where we landed on unfriendly territory, yet scarcely you'll find a line in any history books about the glider operations. So from that standpoint, we feel that there should have been more mention made of what the role of the gliders were during World War II.
Air Force Now remembers the World War II glider program, a forgotten page of military history.
Planes line up to take part in the greatest air invasion in history by the 1st Allied Airborne Army. Americans, British, and Canadians make up this armada for a crossing of the Rhine in the north near Basel. 1,500 planes and gliders haul both men and heavy equipment in this leapfrog over German positions east of the Rhine. This trip is really necessary for victory as the first planes get away. Tow ropes are carefully guided to avoid fatal snarls. It's a gigantic task to get the troop planes and gliders away from their bases in England safely, a job without precedent in military annals. Takeoff instructions go to the transports when the gliders are once on their way. Winston Churchill and General Eisenhower observe progress from the ground near the Rhine. And then the Prime Minister takes a vantage point with Sir Alan Brooke as plane after plane nears the objective. 8th Air Force and British cameramen made these pictures as the men alert for the jump. And this is it. The C-46 plane enables the men to drop from both sides, 18 at a time, speeding up the operation. In a matter of seconds, the sky is filled with billowing parachutes. Next, the glider troops. The pilot releases the tow rope and the sailplane zooms to a landing. With the precision that comes from long planning, the invasion goes forward on schedule. The first wave of troops are out fast to take up their positions as they wait for their other buddies to land. One after another, the planes glide in, and some are hit by enemy shells. A troop carrier falls in flames, caught in anti-aircraft fire. With more split-second timing, artillery opens up. Within 8 hours, 4,000 prisoners were rounded up, and every objective was seized, a flying step to victory.